Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'd like to begin by introducing those who have joined us here today. Santa Maria Mayor Alice Patino, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Special Agent in Charge from the LA office, Eric Harden, FBI Supervisor, Senior Resident Agent Brian Sullivan, Senior Deputy District Attorney, Santa Barbara County, Ann Bramson, representing Joyce Dudley. Please raise your hand when I say your name. Santa Barbara County Sheriff Bill Brown, San Luis Obispo County Sheriff Ian Parkinson, Immigrations and Custom Enforcement Supervisory Detention and Deportation Officer Steve Finn, Lompoc Police Chief Pat Walsh, Oxnard Police Chief Jerry Williams, Santa Maria Police Detective Commander Phil Hansen, Santa Maria Police Operations Commander Kendall Green, and our Chief Deputy District Attorney Mag Nicola. Today, Santa Maria Police Department is announcing that it has undertaken and concluded Operation Matador. It is a months-long, exhaustive investigation into the many recent homicides that have plagued Santa Maria and other cities. Santa Maria's homicides began to spike last year in 2015 with a significant increase in the last 6 months, as well as 6 homicides in January of this year. Several months ago, Santa Maria police detectives began a thorough forensic analysis of all of the homicides and on a course to investigate them with a task force approach as opposed to an individual investigation. This turned out to be very fruitful. As investigators began to put the pieces together, it became quite evident that we would need additional resources to include the federal government and our local law enforcement partners from the Central Coast, as well as reaching all the way down to the LA County Sheriff's Department for forensic assistance. For the past few months, detectives began focusing on several suspects. They built a confidential and sensitive case that resulted in them securing arrest and search warrants for over a dozen individuals and locations. Today, just 12 hours ago at 3 a.m., 150 police officers, deputy sheriffs, and federal agents joined the Santa Maria Police Department in Operation Matador. The warrants were served by the Santa Maria Police SWAT Team, FBI SWAT Teams, Santa Barbara County Sheriff SWAT Team, San Luis Obispo County Sheriff SWAT Team, the Oxnard Police Department SWAT Team, also the Lompoc team. They simultaneously served 12 warrants at 12 locations. 8 of those locations were in Santa Maria, 2 were in Bakersfield, 1 in Oxnard, 1 in Columbus, Ohio, resulting in 15 arrests, 40 persons being detained, and of those 40 persons, many of them were turned over to ICE and they're being processed according to their regulations. All of those arrested are from El Salvador or Honduras. All are members or associates of MS-13, Mara Salvatrucha, a notoriously brutal, organized transnational gang. I need to mention that during this investigation, at least 6 additional homicides were prevented in the past 4 weeks. This was due to the incredible work by the investigative team and their swift actions to protect the targeted victims before the hit was done. At this point, I cannot delve into any of the specific cases or who is responsible for what homicide, as detectives will be presenting this case to the Santa Barbara District Attorney's Office for filing for the following crimes: 182, 187, 186.22b as the Penal Code, conspiracy to commit murder with criminal street gang special allegations; 186.22a of the Penal Code, active participant in a criminal street gang; 182.5 of the Penal Code, conspiracy to be an active participant in a criminal street gang. This investigation is ongoing, and there may be more possible suspects arrested in the future. The city of Santa Maria, and I know I speak for those who are from other cities here, will no longer be a city where MS-13 or any other street gang can live or engage in a career criminal enterprise. We know who they are, we know now where they are, what vehicles they drive, who they associate with. We know what they had for lunch yesterday. This is only the beginning of our intent to continue our efforts to completely, unequivocally eradicate this organized group from existing in Santa Maria. And I want to acknowledge and thank all of our federal partners, ATF, the FBI, and ICE, and our local partners who I've mentioned from Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo, Lompoc and Oxnard Police Departments, and especially our District Attorney's Office, who has been spending the last 2 months with us, day in and day out, with our detectives helping us write affidavits and warrants. Lastly, as I stand here, I am extremely proud of the Santa Maria Police Department for their lead role, especially our detective division led by Commander Phil Hansen, Sergeants Paul Van Meel, Paul Flores, our 14 detectives who have put in tens of thousands of hours into these cases, our gang suppression team, our patrol officers, our crime analysts, and so many more people who made this possible today. The fact that we kept this confidential for so many months is really an amazing testament. I especially want to thank our mayor and our city council who knew we were diligently working behind the scenes to solve these horrific crimes that blemished our community. I want to thank you for being here, and before we take any questions, I would like to ask our mayor, Alice Patino, to say a few words. Mayor.
Thank you, Chief Martin. What a day. I knew this day was going to come. We had so much confidence in our police department. And I didn't know when, and I didn't know what I was going to say, because thank you seems so trivial. But as mayor, I stand here today so proud of the men and women of our police department. What I witnessed this morning and the magnitude of the case and what our police department has been able to do in collaboration with other local and federal agencies is truly remarkable. I've had the opportunity to be fully briefed by Chief Martin and his lead detectives, and what they are referring to as Operation Matador, and what I want the public to know is that this operation was like no other operation in the city of Santa Maria's history. And the success of this morning's operation lies with the leadership of this department, as well as the coordinated efforts of our partner agencies. As mayor, and on behalf of the residents of the city of Santa Maria, I would personally like to thank the FBI, the AFT, ICE, the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Deputies of Santa Barbara County and San Luis Obispo County, Oxnard Police Department, and the Lompoc Police Department that assisted our officers this morning. As a community, we are very fortunate to have such a high caliber of professionals assembled here today, and the manner in which they executed this simultaneous arrest were truly impressive. So I thank and I commend all of you helping the city of Santa Maria on making our streets safe again. My respect for all of you cannot be put into words, so I want to thank you. Now I am calling on the residents of the city of Santa Maria to keep our city safe. You have a responsibility, and I want you to do your part. When you see crimes being committed, you have to report it. And please go up to a police officer every time you see them and say thank you. They deserve our thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next speaker is the Sheriff of Santa Barbara County, Sheriff Bill Brown.
Thank you, Ralph. Last night's operation and the investigation that led up to it is a testament to the leadership of Chief Ralph Martin in the Santa Maria Police Department and the men and women of the Santa Maria Police Department who have conducted this extraordinarily detailed investigation over the course of a number of months. I also want to commend and praise everyone for their involvement in last night's operation. And when you can get a dozen locations and have arrest and search warrants served simultaneously, when you can have the number of people arrested, the number of people detained, the amount of evidence secured, all of that done without a single incident occurring, without a single use of force occurring. That is a remarkable feat, but it is really what is normal in law enforcement. And I think it bears mentioning that although we often see incidents portrayed in the media where law enforcement doesn't get it right, those are a tiny fraction of the time. And this incident exemplifies the precision and the professionalism that occurs out there 98% of the time. And the skill with which this operation was conducted is extraordinary. And I also want to say something to those who would come into our county and commit the type of heinous crimes that started this investigation and started this operation. Look behind me. Notice that we don't stand alone in this county when it comes to investigating, identifying, hunting down, arresting, and bringing before the bar of justice those who would commit these type of evil deeds in any jurisdiction within Santa Barbara County. So let that be a warning to anyone who's thinking or contemplating of anything like this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Our next speaker is Sheriff Ian Parkinson from San Luis Obispo County.
Thank you, Chief. San Luis Obispo County is a border county to Santa Maria. With that comes partnership and strength. As Sheriff Brown mentioned, looking at the leaders from the Santa Barbara, I can assure you that between Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo County, we have great partnerships. The thing that I want to mention is something the mayor mentioned about the public and being proud of your police department. This was a tremendous case and something that the citizens of Santa Maria should be proud of, but also understand that the police department led by Chief Martin has done an incredible job. We are proud to participate in this. We're proud to send the message that the borders don't stop at the Santa Maria Bridge. They continue into San Luis Obispo County, and that we will continue to fight this battle and work together as partners in making sure that any efforts to restart and continue with this activity is going to go with a very watchful eye. So thank you for allowing us to participate, Chief.
Thanks, Sheriff. Our next speaker is Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Special Agent in Charge of Los Angeles, Eric Harden. Eric.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon. Gangs and gangs violence are a resurgent problem throughout America. Gangs have been a growing cancer in virtually every part of our nation. Criminal street gangs and their allied sets or subgroups continue to commit murders and robberies, home invasions, drive-by shootings, carjackings, and other violent crimes on a daily basis. These crimes devastate children, families, schools, and communities by causing fear, mental anguish, physical pain and suffering, property decay, and moral decline. Rather than being vibrant members of the community, striving to improve themselves and their surroundings, the victims of gang crime are forced to withdraw in fear, merely existing rather than living. In partnership with the Santa Maria Police Department, the FBI, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and the other departments mentioned here today, ATF investigated criminal street gang activity that involved the possession and criminal use of firearms by individuals who pose a serious threat to public safety. I commend the officers, detectives, and agents, and especially the chief for his leadership, for the work involved, the dedication and commitment in their effort to reduce firearms-related homicides and other crimes of violence in the city of Santa Maria and neighboring communities. And the stance to reduce violent crime, ATF will remain at the forefront, working in partnership with our federal, state, and local partners to identify, investigate, target, arrest, and seek prosecution of those who offend. The communities belong to the law-abiding, to the residents, to the good men, women, and children of Santa Maria. ATF stands firm utilizing all available resources to disrupt violent criminal activity wherever it exists to mitigate and hopefully prevent the senseless violence committed by these gangs so the good men, women, and children in this and neighboring communities can live free and secure without worry of becoming a victim. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Before we take any questions, I just want to draw your attention to the two photographs, one up on the television screens. That was the booking Sally Port this morning, where we're at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning bringing all our suspects in. The other screen depicts the briefing at 2 o'clock in the morning with almost 100 people in this room and another 50 or 60 over at the FBI office nearby. With that, we'll take some questions with the caveat that because all our suspects are currently in this building being interviewed and they have not been arraigned yet, we're going to be very cautious in how we answer, and we will certainly have more information after they are arraigned tomorrow. So with that, proceed. Go ahead.
Are any of these people you arrested being questioned about the local homicides?
The local homicide, okay, that's the big question. Right now, they're being booked for conspiracy to commit murder on other conspiracies. So they have not been specifically charged with any of those, but we do anticipate that could come to fruition very soon. I also want to mention that we just recently photographed, we couldn't bring the guns out here because they have not been, swabbed and DNA'd, but those are many of the weapons that we recovered. Many of those weapons there do match the weapons that would have been used in some of the homicides in Santa Maria.
So Chief, all these folks are foreign nationals?
Yes.
I mean, how long have they been here?
Well, right now, Keith, what we've got to do is we're asking Immigration and Customs Enforcement and others, and we're doing their backgrounds. We're trying to get as much information on them as we can. Many of them have 2, 3, 4 names. So we're trying to identify them as best we can, not just through fingerprinting, but by other agencies to see if they have maybe cases on file with their fingerprints.
But you've been able to identify that they're from El Salvador or Honduras?
Yes,
All of them?
correct. There may be one from Mexico, but that we're still checking that. But all of them are El Salvador and Honduras. Anything else?
Were they here legally or illegally?
You know, we've asked ICE, they're going to run them and they're going to let us know. But regardless of their status in the country right now, we're prosecuting them for the conspiracy to commit murder and all the other allegations.
Can you suggest which murders locally they might be connected to?
I can't state that right now. And the Deputy District Attorney, Ann Bramson's here, and we have to be very cautious. They have not appeared before a magistrate yet. And once they do, once the weapons are checked and ballistics, we'll have a better idea of where they are. We're pretty, we have a good idea, but like I said months ago, it's not what we know, it's what we can prove.
Why were they at Santa Maria?
I think MS-13 was up here to make a statement. I think they moved in here about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I think they were trying to own the town.
Can you elaborate, Chief? I mean, what do you mean by MS-13 and?
MS-13, Mata Salvatrucha.
Yes.
Well, they're a 50,000 member transnational gang that's in 40 states. So I think it stands on their own what they're trying to do. They're very organized. They're obviously in the drug trade and other things. So I think they came to Santa Maria to set up shop. Yes, ma'am.
Is it just MS-13 that they're being associated with, or are there other things involved?
It appears that our suspects here are only associated with MS-13.
Have you had any cooperation with folks with these walkabouts that we've done last Monday and
With the community walks,
Yeah.
other than trying to bring some humanness to the victims, I can't state right now, Keith, whether or not we've had any people come forward. We're being very cautious with the people who might be cooperating with us, and I think you can understand why.
So you can't say whether anything from those walks led to any type of arrest, just to kind of give maybe the community a little bit of a boost that these things are actually working?
No, none of the walks actually produced anything that you see here today.
It seems like we've been talking about how so many of the local street gangs have been involved in these shootings. What interaction have you seen, if any, between these outside gangs and what we have in the city and what we've had historically?
The two known street gangs in Santa Maria are actually attributed to 1 or 2 of the homicides, but the vast majority of the homicides that we've had, we believe, are being committed by MS-13.
Who are the local street gangs?
I don't mention their names. I'm only mentioning MS-13 because they're a transnational gang. Other than that, I don't give any recognition to local street gangs.
How many members of MS-13 do you think are in Santa Barbara County or Santa Maria specifically?
I do know there's about 50,000 strong throughout several, the countries that they're in. I don't have an idea. I think we'd have to ask the FBI or somebody else on that.
Do you think this is the time and the place to tell everybody how they operate? Or, I mean, how do they enlist these folks to join their ranks?
I think they grew up in the culture, Keith. I don't think they were enlisted.
Are any of these people leaders of their particular group?
There are some leaders in the group, but we're not going to identify them right now.
Can you just
I mean, this case stretched all the way back to Columbus, Ohio. So that's the reach that these people have. So our FBI partners simultaneously served that warrant at 6 o'clock in the morning while we did ours at 3, and took one of our suspects on a warrant that we had issued here for him. And I believe it was, we actually ended up finding him in Cleveland. So
Can you discuss why you think they're here committing murders? Are they killing other gang members or?
almost all of the people that they target are other gang members, yes.
So you have 40 detained besides these 12 arrests. What do you expect?
We have 15 arrested. We had 40 detained at the 12 locations. Some of those were turned over to ICE, others were released. And I'm not sure exactly how many were processed, a half a dozen or so at our local ICE facility.
What should the public be mindful now? You made these arrests, you know if there's more people out there?
Well, the public should know that what you see up here is a collaborative effort that we're not going to give up. That whether it's Oscar Joaquin or, Brian Molina or any of our victims there, that we're not going to arrest these detectives. And I appreciate all the accolades that I received. The reality is it's all of our detectives that work, 16, 18-hour days, weekends, put all this time in, working very closely with our district attorney's office. They're the real heroes. They're the ones who put it together. They're the ones who spend countless hours on weekends here. And anytime there's something that comes up, they come in. So literally, they are the ones who put this together, and I'm proud of them. With that, I thank you all for coming. Thank you very much. Thank you.